everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. We're going to be looking today at Amazing Spider-Man number 42. This is from 1966. I do not own an original copy, but I do have this on a couple of trades actually. So I show only stuff I own. I don't show anything I do not own. I choose digital because it's a lot easier to show people. You can follow me on social media. I just post pictures of my drawings. That's about it. Um, and I also have a link to the Marvel database, which it's a fan site that you can go look, and it's got a lot of plots and a lot of character, like who's who, origins, that kind of stuff, similar to the old uh, Marvel Universe handbook that came out in the 80s. So give that a check. So we're going to be looking at issue 42 and 43. So let's get started here. So really cool cover here. This is drawn by John Romita Sr. Rest in peace. He died a few months ago. So, all right. So we start off with people looking at Spider-Man, and he's robbing a bank. And we got the credits with Stan Lee and John Romita. John Romita did ink it himself. Strange choices, but very. I think they're still trying to get that Steve Ditko-ish look. The police arrive. The bank manager says it was Spider-Man, shows them the bars to get the money, and then he's like, oh, we should have paid attention to J. Jonah Jameson. Spider-Man is a crook. So, in the Queensboro Bridge, Spider-Man is going up, and he throws the money into the river. It says here, so far so good. It's too late for anyone to stop me now. All I've got to do is get rid of the bag and my job will be done. That's the easy part. Trying to explain that will be the hang up. So something's up. And so now to swing home to change to Peter Parker while I can. So it does seem that that is Peter Parker. So now Frederick Foswell is coming in asking for Jonah. Then he tells them Spider-Man has robbed a bank. Betty, who was in a relationship with Peter, is tells him that he's at the airport seeing his son off. And Foswell's like, well, he was right. And then this is Ned Leeds here. Before I move on, just want to show some of the stuff that they don't do anymore, but it was very prevalent throughout comic books up until the 80s, and just little marks. This is probably standing in for cheekbones, but it's just when you look at it now as people draw comic books, you just don't see marks. It almost looks like they just added marks just so that they wouldn't do a plain figure. But like these, supposed to be like the wrinkles and right here. So just really kind of, you just don't see those very often anymore. So Jonah's son is not feeling very well. Um, he tells him he enjoyed his visits, and apparently he contracted some spores during a spacewalk. He's just like, I don't feel so good, and he's losing his balance. And Jonah says maybe I should call the doctor, and he's like, it can't be the flu, and he's falling. And look, he bends this post, so he's getting strong, and you can see that he's outgrowing the clothes. And he breaks his table, and now he's grown bigger, and he feels much stronger. He moves a little bit and breaks through the wall. So those there's apparently two federal agents that have been guarding him, and said they were expecting him. They need to get him into a lab on the double. Again, just the marks. It, it's just kind of cool. You just don't see mark making like that. They're just putting marks for the sake of putting marks. It almost looks like it. So on that Marvel database that I'm sharing, you can actually go and look at the previous issue. The Rhino have been hired to capture Colonel Jameson because they believe that those spores are valuable. I love this part here. Good old Stan Lee. Those spores must be from some planet like Jupiter, where far greater muscle power is needed to overcome the tremendous gravitational pull. That's pretty cool. So they said he just can't exert himself, or he will probably strain his heart and nervous system. So they're gonna call Tony Stark to design a special suit for him, which he apparently does. That outfit will allow him to still feel strong, but it will prevent him from, I guess, have those medical issues. They tell Jonah that he's going to be the father of a new superhero. And Jonah's thinking of all those articles that he had written about Spider-Man, but says that his son isn't a phony superhero like that fink Spider-Man. So agents will remain with Colonel Jameson. They're gonna stay in a hotel, and the agents will stay in the lobby if he needs them. Jonah calls the Daily Bugle and is informed by Foswell about Spider-Man, which of course makes Jonah happy. His son, of course, thinks he is um, somewhat impersonating him, but Jonah says they saw him. They climbed the walls. He broke the vault. So Jonah says he's the only one who saw through him, and so nobody believed him. So he is going to enjoy this opportunity to get him. And of course, Jonah encourages his son to go after Spider-Man. So, because of course he believes his son is a true hero, and with his power, he will be able to take down Spider-Man. The agents asked Jonah what happened. He's so funny here. He told them he sent them to go to get to Spider-Man, and they're upset because, of course, he was ordered to stay. The Rhino here is down, and they can't remove his costume because his costume is actually a part of him. They know that they can't hold him because, of course, he will break through. They're unable to put him with a tranquilizer, and he is, of course, waking up. In court, Foggy Nelson, Daredevil's partner, is being told that he will be the Rhino's attorney, and the judge tells him where he is. And of course, while that is happening, the Rhino's breaking out of prison, kind of like how the guard was able to guess. The Rhino makes quick work and busts out, but they are able to stop him with gas, kind of like a tranquilizer. And the Rhino is brought down once again, and they're gonna try to keep him sedated with the gas. So now Peter is heading to the university. Gwen Stacy invites him to a party. Here's Flash Thompson, and this is, of course, Harry Osborn. Um, and he says he'd love to, but then he remembered that he was going to meet Mary Jane Watson at a Sunday night dinner, that he can't back out. And of course, that upsets her, and that's what these little lines here mean. Um, so they all just kind of leave him. Of course, Gwen Stacy likes Peter, so she's been trying to get him to go places with her. But always something always happens. So regardless, very cool picture here, cool panel. You not it's funny when you watch or you've seen some of those Todd McFarlane Spider-Mans that I've covered, and I don't know, it's just kind of cool still to see him drawn like he was in the 60s. So Peter has never met Mary Jane, and he's thinking the worst, like she's probably babbly or something. So and he's in his costume, and there's Colonel Jameson. He tells him that his dad's been right about him, that he's nothing but a crook, and begins to fight him. Of course, Spider-Man's trying to tell him that he has it all wrong, but Jameson tells him that everybody saw him, and Peter throws the webbing at him. He tells him that he's going to tell him what's going on, but he breaks out of the web. Of course, Jameson's thinking about his dad, and Spider-Man's trying to just kind of get out of the way. He's trying to get him to calm down and tell him that he'll explain it, but he, of course, keeps going after him. So he's going to go get him, tells him his bank robber days are over, and he tells him, I didn't rob the bank, and if you'd only listened to him, but of course he's not having it. So he crumbles at this chimney, but he grabs it with the webbing and then hurls it at Colonel Jameson. So he's going to explain to him, he says to pay attention. He hurls the bricks to the side. He uses the webbing again on his face and throws him. He gets away and feels bad that he couldn't explain to what really happened. So of course we're gonna get what really happened. And Peter was at the bank, and his spider sense went off, and he says that payroll bag, something's wrong with it. He feels that there's a bomb in it. Of course, he gets the people, and he's like, sorry, can't explain. He goes in there, grabs the bag, and that's where we kind of start, where everything was in there, and he threw it. Tells them that it exploded, which they didn't show, but here they're telling you it exploded after it hit the water, and they would have all died if it wasn't for him. Foswell's going to go cover the Rhino story, and Jameson himself is going to cover his son's capture of Spider-Man. So as you can see, Spider-Man has gone to the Daily Bugle. And so basically he's going to ask Jameson to call the bank and ask if any money is missing. And Jameson does, and finds out that there really was no money missing, and Spider-Man was telling the truth. And so John shows up, and he tells Jonah where Spider-Man. He says he was just here, but he left, and that there's actually a chance that he really didn't rob the bank and he is innocent. Of course, he's upset about everything, and Jonah's trying to get him to calm down, but he's not having it. They're going to take him back to the hotel, and Jonah's noticing that his son is becoming arrogant and merciless. So it's a bit of describing it to people because they um, that's how comic books were back then, kind of giving you how more insight into the characters. So that night, Peter wakes up and says he's got to find him, uh, or he's got to find John and fix things. He can't let things be the way they were. So, meanwhile, in the hotel, John, of course, is very angry. He decides he's leaving. He's going to go find Spider-Man again. And he finds him. And now he gets rid. The boots had like a. They weighed him down so he wouldn't jump too far. So he breaks those off. So that's what those are. And now, of course, he jumps all the way up to Spider-Man, and the two are going to kind of have another fight. So, another battle. Kind of back and forth. A lot of action in these old issues. You just don't see modern comic books, of course, wants to give you more of a complete reading experience. There is a lot of reading to be done. I mean, if one thing is Stan Lee is rather verbose, that part is true. So is Todd McFarlane. I don't know if you've read Spawn, but Todd McFarlane is actually quite verbose. So, so he uses an electromagnetic inside that warehouses was like an electromagnetic generator, and it's destroying the spores, kind of curing him. He realizes that John is back to normal. Spider-Man ends up calling the suits to go pick him up. And then he was, of course, looking from above. Jonah, of course, blames Spider-Man because, hey, why not? And so he decides, it's time to leave. So it's time to have Sunday dinner. And he's all nervous. He's like, oh, I can't believe I have to do this. So he gets ready Mary Jane, who has not this has never, she's been mentioned tons of times, but has actually never been seen. I think she showed up as a silhouette once, so nobody has seen her. And so they're going off to dinner, and Mary Jane isn't there yet, but of course, here comes one of the most recognizable lines and recognizable panels with Face It Tiger. You just hit the jackpot, and we have the first appearance of Mary Jane here. So we're just gonna review this one. We're not gonna do both issues. I noticed here, Stan Lee just packs so much. I don't want to make a 40-minute video, so we're just gonna end it here. So Amazing Spider-Man 42, first appearance of Mary Jane. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.